Welcome to the Legacy Podcast, making our Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) more famous for action. Before I begin, I do like you to take 2 deep breaths with me. Breathe in and out. One more, in and out. You can thank the trees on land for that first breath, but you owe that second breath entirely to the ocean. Most people don't realize that the sea is the world's largest lung. Tiny marine plants produce 50% of the oxygen on Earth. When we talk about life below water, we are not just talking about saving a fish. We are talking about protecting the very air in our lungs. I am your host, United Nations, and I'm so glad you are here. Today's legacy will be to talk about the 14th Sustainable Development Goal, the Life Below Water Goal. For you to grab your knowledge, discover your role, and do your action. If you look at the Earth from space, you don't see a green planet. You see a blue marble. The ocean is the blue heart of our world. It regulates our temperature, moves nutrients around like a circulatory system, and keeps our climate stable. For too long, we have treated this heart like a bottomless trash can, and a free supermarket. Sustainable Development Goal 14, the Life Below Water, is our global medical plan to stop the bleeding and start healing the heart that keeps us all alive. We spend billions of dollars searching for life on other planets, sending probes to Mars and moons in the outer solar system. Yet we have a vast world right here that we have barely explored. See, less than 10% of the deep ocean has been mapped. We are currently destroying what you can call a library of life before we have even read the books. Life below water is about having the humility to protect the greatest mystery we have ever been given. The ocean is the world's greatest mirror. It reflects back to us exactly how we treat our planet. If we dump plastic in, it shows us a sick environment. If we overheat the atmosphere, it reflects that heat back in the form of melting ice and rising tides. But if we treat it with respect, it reflects back life, food to us. Sustainable Development Goal 14, Life Below Water, asks us a simple question. When we look into the blue mirror of the sea, do we like the reflection of the generation looking back? Imagine a child born in the year 2050 asking you, what was it like when the ocean was full of life? What did the coral reef look like before they all turned white? That is a conversation we are trying to prevent today. Life below water is a test of our integrity. It is one place on earth we can't see into easily, which means it is also the place where our actions matter most because no one is watching. It is time to move from being users of the sea to becoming its ancestors. Localizing the life below water goal is the common sense of making sure that our water is clean, free from pollution. We can stop the flow of plastic. About 20,000 garbage trucks of plastic are dumped every single day at our rivers, our coasts, and oceans, and all of that. Is also making sure that our stocks can regrow. That is our fishing, practicing sustainable fishing. We should stop the overmining of the sea. It's about making sure that every fish we take will leave enough for the ocean to also repopulate itself. It's also about making sure that the pH is balanced. You can, in other words, say acidification. As the ocean absorbs our CO2, it becomes more acidic like soda, which dissolves the shells of the tiny creatures at the bottom of the sea. Or let's just say our food chain beneath the sea. It feels like the ocean is too big to save, but really it's just about connection. Every piece of plastic you refuse and every sustainable meal you choose is a repair to the system. It is the shift from being an extractor to being an ocean steward. Now, to bridge your awareness action gap, you must understand the United Nations target towards the life below water goal. That is the reason why the goal was created and what they aim for. Both you and I, government houses, private individuals to achieve, especially before 2030. If the target governs the protection of our seas and so on. Target 14.1 is about reducing marine pollination. That's preventing and significantly reducing all types of marine pollution, especially from land-based activities like plastics and nutrient runoff. Target 14.2 is about protecting and restoring our ecosystems. Sustainably managing and protecting marine and coastal ecosystems to avoid significant adverse impact and strengthen their resilience. Target 14.3 is about reducing ocean acidification. That is minimizing and addressing the impact of acidification through enhanced scientific cooperation at all levels. Target 14.4 is about sustainable fishing, effectively regulating harvest and ending overfishing. The illegal, unreported and unregulated, that's the IUU fishing, and also diverse sorts of destructive fishing practices. Target 14.5 is about conservation of our coastal and marine areas, conserving at least 10% of coastal and marine areas by 2030. Target 14.6 is ending subsidized contributing to overfishing and prohibiting certain forms of fishery subsidies which contribute to overcapacity and overfishing. This English or words may sound too unfamiliar with you, maybe because you are not in that fishing field. But if you are, you should understand, or if you want to be, you'll be able to understand better. And of course, some of them are self-explanatory. Target 14.7 is about increasing economic benefits to the SIDS and the LDC. That is increasing the economic benefits of small island developing nations and the least developed countries. That is the SIDS and the LDS from the sustainable use of marine resources. Target 14.8 is about increasing scientific knowledge and technology, developing our research capacity and transferring our marine technology to improve ocean health. Like it was talked about in industry, innovation, and infrastructure, we cannot solve our 21st century problem with 19th century equipment or solutions. We constantly need to innovate. So, on the aspect of our life below water, we need to make sure that we are also increasing scientifically on that aspect so that they will be saved, preserved, protected, and can provide us our food and our life for even many, many, many more years to come. Target 14.b is about supporting small-scale fishers, providing access for small-scale or artisanal fishers to marine resources and markets. Target 14.c is about implementing and enforcing international sea laws, enhancing the conservation and sustainable use of our oceans by implementing the laws that should guide them. So it's not anybody that just want they can, or any country that just want they can just take advantage of the ocean near them or the sea near them and do whatever they want. International sea laws guard and protect the oceans, which you may even just be seeing or hearing about on the internet or in movies. Let's take the case studies for the Life Below Water Sustainable Development Goal. Case studies are real-world examples of when this goal was exhibited, and like the problems and the solution and the impact also. Case study 1 is what is called the Coral Nurture Program. And this happened in Australia. What was the problem? Climate change has caused massive coral bleaching events. Traditional conservation was too slow to keep up with the scale of the damage. What was the solution? A unique partnership was formed between scientists and tourism operators. They opted in for, instead of slow lab work, they developed a coral clip, what is called a coral clip, that allows divers to quickly reattach broken coral fragments to the reef without using chemical additives. There was also, they also opted in for tourism boats that once just at the reef, they now act as gardening vessels, planting tens of thousands of corals during the off-season. What was the result? Over 100,000 corals have been outplanted with high survival rates. There was also economic resilience, that is, it turned the dyeing industry into a restoration industry, proving that protecting our life below water is one of the best business insurance. What is the lesson for you? To save the sea, you just need the right tools and a commitment to the blue economy. That is a commitment to our ocean and the life below it. Moving on ahead. Our second case study for the Life Below Water goal is what is called the 3D Ocean Farm. This happened in USA. The problem: traditional fishing was literally or is extractive, that is taken out, and traditional fish farming, aquaculture, often produce a lot of waste and requires wild fish as feed. What was the solution? A former commercial fisherman developed a vertical 3D ocean farming. That is, instead of a flat farm, he uses a vertical system of ropes and baskets. At the top, he grows kelp, which breathes in CO2 and nitrogen. Below that, he grew scallops and mussels, which filter water. And at the bottom, he grows oysters and clams. There was also zero input farming, that is, the farm requires zero fresh water, zero fertilizer, and zero feed. The ingredients are provided entirely by the sea. What was the result? Improved water quality. A single oyster can filter up to 50 gallons of water a day. On a small farm can literally clean an entire bay. There was also climate action, that is, carb grows incredibly fast and sequestering carbon at a rate higher than many land forests. So in what this farmer was trying to do, he was both solving for water quality and also climate action. What is a lesson for you? We don't have to stop using the ocean. When we talk about life below water, you may think or be forced to think they are too vulnerable, too fragile, and it takes extra care that you may not want to care. So, but the lesson is that we don't just have to stop using the ocean, we can use it in a way that actually makes it healthier and makes us healthier too. So you have to know to do your action now that you have grabbed some of the knowledge and a little bit of why you should take our life below water or the life below water very seriously. Now these are some of the actions you can take. Now that you have grabbed the knowledge on why you should be concerned about the life below water goal, let's move ahead to the actions you can take to ensure that you are part of the movement for saving our life below water. First of all, never dump oil, paints, or chemicals or plastics, nylons down the street drain. Most lead directly back to the ocean. Also, you can use the filter on your washing machine to catch synthetic fibers before they reach down the sea. You can also try to use eco-friendly sunscreens. There are some sunscreens today some sunscreen contains chemicals like oxybenzone bleach. I mean oxybenzone which bleach coral reefs even in tiny amounts. You can also donate to groups that or initiatives that have dedicated themselves or their program to remove abandoned fishing nets in the sea. You can also commit to zero um, use of bottles or plastic that 80% of them often go back to the seas, or even bars, that their manufacturing processes they are very, very much hard to destroy or are dumped away, which on our land, which often ends back to our sea. You can buy or before you eat out, you can check a seafood watcher website to ensure your meal was not from an overfished stock. You can also, if you have a garden, stop using synthetic nitrogen. The runoff often causes dead zones in our oceans where nothing can breathe, like kills off every of the life in there. You can clean your local river bank or park. Wind and water carry that trash to the coast eventually. That's keep your local river bank or park or even beach very clean. Don't be among those dumping whatever they want. So because you came on a vacation, the land should not rest because you came on the vacation. You should try to keep that environment clean, especially when it's very, very near to the sea or ocean. You can pledge to sustainable tourism pledge. That is when you visit the coast, never touch a coral or feed wild marine life. You may not know exactly what is good for them, or you have not been acquainted to them. So don't refuse. When you go to a zoo, you are actually guided by um an attendant on what to touch and what not to touch, how to go about the animals. The same way when you get to a sea, don't just dump anything. Act any way you like or touch any plant you're seeing there. So try to pledge to be organized even towards the sea coast. Write to your local representative to support the creation of a no-take marine protected areas. You can support small-scale fishers. Buy your fish directly from local artisanal fishers. Demand transparency. Tag a seafood brand and ask, is your tuna or the particular fish that use 100% monitor, monitored on the water to prevent a bycatch. You can also decide to sponsor a marine science kit to a local school that's educating the next generation. If you have investment, look for blue bonds that fund our ocean conservation and sustainability. You can also support what is called the BBNG Treaty, that is the Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction. They are targeted at protecting about 60% of the ocean that belongs to no one. So some of these treaties, obligations, initiatives can take out the time to research or search about them and also vote for them, um, pledge on their behalf and also contribute your resources, your time or your skills to them. You may not know this maybe because they are not too loud or maybe because it's not a topic that most people or most population often care about. But once you decide to search, once you decide to look into it, you may grow so much love for it. That is why you always have to let yourself to explore. Don't be limited to one thing. Don't let your mind be congested or limited to just one particular pattern, one particular way, one particular industry. Try to look out there, search, research, even what is just a little bit on your mind. You may never know what you actually discover that will make you and change your whole your whole life, like pattern of your life or even your passion. You can decide to also support laws that require commercial fishing nets to be digitally tagged so owners are responsible for them. Not just supporting or advocating, you can decide to be the one who decides to read their way through into knowing those laws and being in boardrooms or among decision makers who make these laws. Yes, you cannot be among people who support these laws if you decide not to care about our ocean or the blue economy or follow the path at all. While you may be passionate, you also need to work towards it. Join the campaign for a global plastic treaty to end plastic production at the source. Yes, it's very good that most industries now are actually fishing or not really going for the plastic, because these plastics we are talking about always end up the ocean. So we should move more and look for a more sustainable way to make things, especially things that will not just be used at once, but things that can be recycled, recreated. Those are things that you can term that they will highly cost less harm, because once they are damaged or once the first use of it is exhausted, you can literally recreate them into make use of it in another way, in another pattern possible. You can decide to um lobby against fossil fuel subsidies, that is ending oil subsidies directly. This helps the oceans by slowing warming and acidification. This directly helps the ocean by slowing down acidification. You can choose to have ocean literacy. That is, read one book on marine biology and share the facts with your community, with your friends. Broadcast it on WhatsApp about our ocean. These are some of the topics people actually stop to read because they see it once in a while or once in a blue moon. So when someone posts something like that, me particularly, I'll be interested to read because it's not something that is always seen when you open your internet or when you open your study group or even your book. These are just topics that hide itself unless you are particularly in that field. You can also decide to support ocean cleanup, that is ocean cleanup technology, that is investing in or donating to companies building river interceptors that stop plastic before it hits the sea. Never release. Okay, this may sound weird, but try not to release your balloons into the skies and just leave them there. Yes, look for a way to drag them back because most of them always end up in the ocean where turtles can mistake them for jellyfish. So that means if you are hosting an occasion, hosting a birthday party, try to make sure that all these materials used for celebration like the balloons which you just used at once and dot are actually gathered together, packed and disposed or burned properly. Lobby for bans on the sale and trade of shark fins. Sharks are the doctors of the sea who keeps our fish populations healthy. So let's not normalize selling or buying shark fins because if we keep on doing that, who are those that will keep protecting those little lives below water or by keeping their populations healthy? More like a big mama guiding their little children. So you can also audit your laundry detergent. Switch to a brand that is phosphate free. Phosphate cause algae blooms that suffocate our marine life. If you smoke, never place a butt on the ground. They are the number one plastic pollutants found on beaches globally. So I think that is very, very self-explanatory. Donate or volunteer with groups that uses satellites to track illegal fishing. They watch over global fishing. Yes. If you eat farmed fish, look for recirculating aquaculture systems, that is RAS, that don't dump waste into the open sea. Check your toothpaste and face scrub for polythene, what is called the polyethylene. If there is, because it's a plastic pollutant, then you can decide to swap it for natural exfoliate or products made with natural food. Yeah, face scrub, soaps, creams, and so on made with a very good percentage of natural products, and those ones who work the most. They're actually very healthy. Sign petitions that help Iceland nations pay off debt by protecting their coral reefs. Support for a debt for nation swaps. That is a nation that is, when we say owing, they can decide to invite another nation to pay off that debt by helping them protect their coral reefs. Lobby for your local stadium or airport to install water refill stations to eliminate thousands of plastic bottles. You should also know that advocating for climate action is also advocating for ocean action. They are on the same flight. You can decide to support startups creating plastic-free packaging made from seaweed. Also advocate for ocean literacy schools. That is, demand that topics or subjects like marine biology be part of the standard science curriculum. You can help fund a floating trash collector for your local um, marina. That is, sponsor someone who is or dedicating an initiative to remove the trash or plastics and so on from your our oceans or seas or even from your local streams and water and so on. Learn from Learn, you can decide to learn or start learning and also fund indigenous communities who have managed our sea territories sustainable for centuries. That is, supporting indigenous sea rights. Those local communities you think that they don't know anything of that. Their knowledge is not helping, but these are people that have been protecting some of those sea territories for centuries, for generations, even before the rise of technology and so on. You can decide to support treaties that mandate zero emission for ships traveling between major ports. Only vote for leaders who support the sustainable development goal for life below water, or the target of the life below water to be that is to be achieved by 2030. So vote for your leaders that are interested in protecting our oceans, not just for their own pockets or even the land itself. In fact, any leader that wants to protect the land will likely also want to protect the ocean, because they know they are not apart. Protecting the life on land, whether human, animals, is also a call, a concern towards our oceans. Ensure your weddings, parties, or conferences are balloon or plastic free, because most of these are what people dispose recklessly, very, very recklessly. So even if you are going to use them, you have no option or choice. Just make sure that they are well disposed of at the end of the day. Support marine peace powers, that is, advocating for a cross-border ocean protection where countries collaborate to save the ocean. Realize that you should be an ocean citizen. Yes, the whole point of all these actions is for you to take your ocean personal. It's not just a land or earth or a planet or your nation citizen. You should also be an ocean citizen. No matter how far you live from the coast, most breath you take is also a gift from the sea. So promise to take it back. That is why at the beginning of this legacy, you breathed in, you breathed out. Yes, owe 50% to the ocean. So always promise to pay it back in every little way that you can. Your ultimate action is stewardship. Refuse to just be a consumer of the ocean and become a protector. Realize that the ocean, in a way, or literally, you can say that they don't need us. They can survive. They can, if we don't harm them, we don't touch them, they can do well off on their own. But we absolutely need the ocean. Even that life below the ocean, we need it for our food, for nutrients, for minerals, and the breath that we are taking. So if we don't protect it, it's to our own loss, big time. So we have to be ocean citizens and realize that this is also a matter of integrity, not because we don't see it physically or the breath they are literally giving us or the food we don't like physical, we don't see them or how they even protect themselves in there does not mean we should not care. We should care 100%, protect them and also protect us. Your awareness action gap towards the life below water, close it when you realize that ocean is one of the ultimate tests of the human character. Because you cannot see the bottom of the sea, you are forced to act on integrity rather than just sight. So when you protect our life below water, you are not just saving the fish, you are saving the very rhythm of life itself. You have now grabbed the knowledge, discovered your role, and go out and do your action. Stay connected to the Legacy Podcast TLP to lead you through on how you can create or keep creating a sustainable change. As you have chosen to listen, act, and also share this legacy, you are the engine that is making our sustainable development goal, life below water, more famous for action.